I think the last year and a half, with my 5 letters that I have sent and have spoken to the president personally in regards to that, has been met with complete, total disrespect to the people of Arizona. I mean, we don't even get an answer back from our letters in regards to securing our border.
The governor of Arizona saying she has written 5 letters in the last year and a half, which would include President Bush and Barack Obama, and got no response whatsoever to the fact that people are pouring across the border. They have crime problems, school problems, hospital problems, all the problems in Arizona. Or even if you don't have problems, which is a point I'm always trying to make, even if there are no problems whatsoever. Every country keeps track of who comes into their country.
Right.
That's just what you do.
Right.
And this article I just read from the New York Daily News about Governor Jan Brewer of Arizona spitting in the face of Lady Liberty.
Willfully misleading and ridiculously inaccurate.
You people who talk about us being a nation of immigrants, I don't get you. I really don't. I know you don't get me. There's no hypocrisy in the fact that your great-great-grandmother came here from wherever the hell, and you're against illegal immigration. There is no hypocrisy there whatsoever.
None.
I'm reading now from the history of Ellis Island. Immigrants entering the United States came through a processing center at Ellis Island, New York, built in 1892. The center handled some 12 million European immigrants, herding thousands of them a day through the barn-like structure during the peak years for screening. Government inspectors asked a list of 29 probing questions. How many probing questions do government inspectors ask people coming across the Mexican border? Oh, that's right, none. Nobody asks anybody because they just sneak across.
So if I may amend your comments, we're a nation of immigrants who are asked 29 probing questions and carefully screened. But go on.
Government inspectors ask a list of 29 probing questions such as, have you money, relatives, or a job in the United States? Are you a polygamist? Are you an anarchist? Next, doctors and nurses poked and prodded them looking for signs of disease or debilitating handicaps. Usually immigrants are detained 3 or 4 hours and then free to leave after getting all this information and getting an address of where they were headed.
By the way, I don't know the time span involved, but for a very, very, very long time, anybody who immigrated to the United States was required to sign that they would not take any social services from the government for 3 years. Because we didn't want people just turning up and taking taxpayer money. Otherwise, we'd become a magnet for the homeless of the world, like San Francisco is.
I really don't get how we're talking past each other on this. Those of you who say we're a nation of immigrants or this is just racist or whatever, how are we not connecting? I mean, where is the
They don't want to connect. They lose the argument if they connect. I wouldn't connect if I were them. I just keep saying the same slogans, which seem to be persuading people.
No, wait, no. You're talking about, who are you talking about?
Who are you talking about?
I mean, are you talking about people who want open borders? Well, then why don't they make that argument?
I would say the majority of Americans, the vast majority of Americans, who would say they're against this law.
Which would be the minority of Americans, because 60% of Americans are for this law.
Well, right. But, and 70% of Arizonans. But the vast majority of those people, I would say, believe that, quote, we're a nation of immigrants. People have been flooding in this country. They just don't know. Well, okay, so
their belief is that our nation's history is anybody could come here
right
anytime they wanted to, from anywhere, in any number.
Now,
well, then you're just an idiot.
Those people, they're ignorant. Those people we can persuade. The people who are willfully ignoring it, we're never. Again, you're talking past them because they don't want to connect with you, because then they lose the argument.
But doesn't it just seem? Isn't it just intuitive that obviously you couldn't run a country that way? That the world doesn't work that way?
Right.
Where everybody just goes wherever they want to and sets up camp? That's not the way the world works.
Everybody knows that's not the way it works. If they've ever gone to another country, including freaking Canada, you got to have a passport. Why do you think that is? So they know who's coming into their country? Exactly. Precisely. You've got it. Well done, sir. Phone number is 1-866-331-TALK, 1-866-331-8255. I actually heard somebody I like say this morning, and the racism is unbelievable. They're not going to be stopping Norwegians. Well, 99.99% of the illegals in Arizona are of Mexican heritage or are Mexican nationals.
Or from further south, Guatemala.
Well, right, yeah, Ecuador et al. So, seriously now, if I'm in my home and half a dozen Jews come through the doors and start shooting at me and I shoot back, am I an anti-Semite? No, you respond to the situation as you find it. If I'm attacked by 10 Mexicans and I fight them, I'm not anti-Mexican. I'm dealing with the situation I have found. That's a ridiculous argument. It's literally worthy of ridicule.
The governor of Arizona has spit in the face of Lady Liberty.
Yeah, well, all right. Jerry in Walnut Creek. Jerry, welcome to the show. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, there was a reference in that article to totalitarian states, and my question was, what happens when a policeman pulls you over? What do they? And they said that your papers, please, was a totalitarian statement. When a policeman pulls you over, what's the first thing they ask you for?
Your driver's license, identification,
and your registration.
That's right.
Hey, here's a question. Maybe you know the answer to it. Are you required to have an ID on you?
I think you're required to carry your driver's license.
And I don't mean even when you're driving. If you're walking down the street, are you required to have an ID?
No,
you're not.
You're not.
Hey, all right. Thanks for the call. I'll tell you this though. The question of the constitutionality of this law, we've had all sorts of our listeners who really need to get a job or a hobby or something. Maybe this is their hobby. Send us the case law that shows this is absolutely constitutional. 100% laws like this have been in effect for decades. It's absolutely constitutional. Here's Richard in Roseville. Richard,
how is it not an illegal seizure or something?
Because you've got to have probable cause to pull somebody over.
Well, I guess the problem with this is going to be, I mean, obviously there's an opportunity, more of an opportunity for cops to have in their mind probable cause than ever before. Based on the color of your skin. I mean, obviously, if you're a cop and you're looking for illegal immigrants, somebody who's brown is going to set off your antenna. Okay, here's a starting point.
Yeah, well, that's true. Sure is. Yeah. On the other hand, the law is written that says that after making lawful contact, the law enforcement officer can inquire as to their status. Of
course, even Arizona, they could have done this a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but they didn't. Took all these years of things getting worse and worse and begging the federal government to do what they're constitutionally required to do before they even got to this point.
Richard, Roseville, go ahead, Richard.
Hey, guys, good job on this topic. I was just thinking, since this is going to effect in a couple of months, be looking for a wave of illegals coming to California.
Yeah, I heard it stated on a newscast the other night, a group saying we're moving to California.
Yeah, we need to get a proposition going, to combat that.
No Arizonans? I like the idea, though.
I would say build a border fence on our eastern border.
They bring their dry heat and their love of cacti.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Richard. Can my parents get some sort of visa to come and see you? Because I want to... Anyway. Jack, do we have some sort of old-timey music, Michael, or something like that? Here's your nation of immigrants. After an arduous sea voyage, many passengers described their first glimpse of New Jersey, while third-class or steerage passengers lugged their possessions onto barges that would take them to Ellis Island. Immigrants were tagged with information from the ship's registry and passed through long lines for medical and legal inspections to determine if they are fit for entry into the United States.
Just like we're doing in Tucson. Just like we're doing on the Mexican border. Doctors checking people out, asking, oh, that's right, we aren't.
Approximately 80% successfully passed through in a matter of hours, but others could be detained for days or weeks.
Just like we're doing at the Mexican... No, that's right, we aren't.
Passage of the Immigrant Quota Act of 1921 and the National Origins Act of 1924, which limited the number and nationality of immigrants allowed in the United States, effectively ended the era of mass immigration into New York. Why? Too many coming in to deal with, taxing social services. That was almost 100 years ago. But we're a nation of immigrants,
I believe.
Say the morons.
I believe you just spit in the face of Lady Liberty, is what you did.
I can spit really amazing distances. It's a gift, but I can't spit that high.
I assume this guy who wrote this article for the Daily News about the governor of Arizona spitting in Lady Liberty's face is a smart guy. I assume he's a smart guy. He writes for a major newspaper.
Nah, he's an ideologue. Ideologues twist facts all the time. It's a fact twister.
Well, okay, but what's his ideology?
What feels good? What makes him feel enlightened?
His ideology can't be open borders. There can't be that many people that think open borders works.
I will tell you this. He hasn't thought it through that much, or maybe he has. I don't know the guy. The number one ideology, race and immigration in America right now, the number one ideology, well, number two, because most of us agree on this. Number two ideology is whatever makes me feel enlightened and progressive. That's an ideology. It's like a religion with these people. You ask, how can he say that? Because that's his religion. I'm enlightened. I'm not a racist. People have a mania for that. They want to feel that.